So, hey Taurus, my name is Chris, and this is your beautiful reading for whenever you freaking find it in 2026. And I'm doing 10 cards, and there we have a new beginning for you. Whenever you find it, you get everything you need to make this work. So there's a new beginning, Fool card, and the Page of Pentacles. So you get the strengths, you get the skill set, and you get the beginner's mind, right? To just go for it. And you don't need to run, you don't need to strive, you know, there's no haste here. Everything looks pretty well. There's the Temperance card, not the Temperance card, the Two of Pentacles actually, and the Two of Wands. So you're looking for balance, restoring balance. It's about time that you... more like that, right? So you're basically looking at the Two of Pentacles, you're planning for the Two of Pentacles. And Pentacles energy, Wands energy is more fire energy, passionate energy, making plans, having the world in your hand. You're about to make a big new step into your life. Could that be? After the last 10 years, 10 years since... 2016, 2015, 2016, that was a big developmental cycle. And now it's time to, you know, it's like the pendulum. It swings in one direction, it swings in the other direction, and it needs to swing into the other direction to restore balance. And in 2026, we are all in this frequency. Pluto in Capricorn since 2008 is long gone. Thank God for that. There was no fun, right? And now it's a new beginning, and in this new beginning we don't run, we don't strive, we don't haste, right? We slowly going about what makes sense to us, right? Speaking your truth, going about what makes sense to you. There is the Emperor and the Five of Pentacles. That's interesting. I need a little more context for that. There's the Devil and... okay, the Devil and the Knight of Pentacles. And two more. The Five of Swords and the Five of Cups. Bottom of the deck is the Magician. So the good news is you're making something happen. You're totally focusing your energy on what you want. What you want is to restore balance. There are two big messages here. This Emperor approach, right? Where you try to call the shots, where you try to be the boss, where you try to be super strong and do everything on your own. That's not the right way, right? So if you just keep on doing that, there's a lot of toxicity attached to that. So I would totally advise you against this Emperor approach, right? Where you call the shots, where you try to, you know, the Emperor is basically, the Empress is inner mastership and the Emperor is outer mastership. So the Emperor is all about ruling other people or ruling the external world. And this seems not to be a good idea. And when I compare this with all the other readings that I've done so far, in 2026 in general, and for 2026 in general, I would say, the Empress shows up all the time. So this year, this next developmental cycle is all about the Empress, not the Emperor. So you need to master yourself, right? And you need to be in alignment with all of your faculties. You know, you must know who you truly are, what is important for you, and then you go after that and bring that in the world. Make that the highest expression of yourself. But, you know, being the CEO, being, you know, the Emperor, right? Calling other people or telling other people what to do, forcing other people's what to do, that seems to be a very toxic, outdated approach. So don't do this. Business as usual, like since 2008, that's not going to cut it anymore. Then there's one big message here, and I'm going to do a little more context here. The big message here is that the conflict is over. Yes, you lost a few things. 5 of Cups and the 5 of Swords. But a few of these things were very toxic, so good riddance. Even though, 3 of Cups is this story where 3 cups are down, 2 were good cups, right? They were full of wine, so to speak. That's the red liquid here. But 1 was poison. That's the greenish, bluish liquid here. So 2 cups are still standing. And the Emperor is pretty much that approach where you try to rebuild the 3 cups that are gone. But if you do that, there is the Devil and there's the 5 of Pentacles, right? Another 5, so you get the 5 of Swords, you get the 5 of Cups. You lost something since 2008, since the last 9-10 years in these developmental cycles. There was something that you lost, but it was toxic. Something of it, not all of it, but something of it was very toxic. And so you the universe was really trying to help you out. The universe, has its way. So you lost something. 2 cups were good cups. 1 cup was a very toxic cup. So you lost that. If you try to rebuild these cups, if you try to rebuild what you have lost as you have never lost it, then you're trying this Emperor approach. And that Emperor approach is not going to work well because you would restore the toxic aspect here that you lost. So there are good things that you lost, right? No question about that. Think about the last 9-10 years. Think about since the time of 2008. But there was one thing, at least one thing, very, very toxic. Maybe it was a toxic relationship. Maybe it was toxic family members. Maybe it was something like that you did yourself to you or to others. Very, very toxic. So that failed and that got, how do you say this, thrown over, right? And you try to fight for this, right? But the fight is over and you must accept your losses. Because if you turn around, there are 2 other good cups. And with these cups, what is left is enough. That's the message here. What's left is enough. So take what is left and make something, build something with that. And I'm going to do 2 more cards because this is a little bigger. There's the Death card and the 3 of Wands. Again, there's this loss and this emphasis on not restoring the loss. There's the Star card and the 7 of Swords. Maybe you ask for something and when we ask for truth, for example, when we ask for enlightenment, when we ask for the revelation of truth, right? We might not necessarily like the truth. We might not necessarily like what is revealed to us. But we have to deal with the reality as it is and not try to restore what is already gone. So let the past be behind you and go forward into the new chapter of your life. This is a big reading. You're waking up to this and you're not really feeling it. There's a blessing that is given to you, that is offered to you. a form of awakening, a form of insight, right? And it's time for you to build something. Yeah, there's the Ten of Cups. That makes sense to you, that feels good to you. So maybe there is fortune after difficulty here. There's a new beginning. There are new plans. There's balance restored. There's a revelation, truth, a form of unmasking, something like that. And by all means, what you're going for is a very beautiful energy. You're using your passion to build, to create, joyful create. And there's the Nine of Pentacles, which is a beautiful card full of prosperity and blessings. The big message is there was an old version of yourself that was pretty bossy and trying to do everything on your own. And that kind of was not good for you. So maybe you build a business on your own. Maybe you built, maybe you tried to, whatever you did, you tried to do it all by yourself. Could that be? And that was disappointed. And you fought for it, but you kind of asked for it. You asked for a revelation, or you asked the universe for a blessing. And the universe, threw over your cups, 3 of your cups, not 5 of your cups, but 3 of these 5 cups. And 1 was poison. So you have to really look deep into your past in the last years and identify that what was toxic and try not to rebuild it. And I always say it's not about the outer form so much as it is about the functionality. So what did you do? How did you conduct yourself, conduct your life? With the Emperor surrounded by the 5 of Pentacles and the Devil, you just, there was a stubbornness to it, there was a bossiness to it. The Emperor is not a bad card, but the Emperor is connected in this reading to toxicity. And maybe that idea of you as some sort of Emperor doing it all by yourself was totally disappointed. And maybe you asked for happiness. Maybe you asked for something beautiful. Maybe you asked for the 10 of Cups, right? Well, it was given to you, but the first step was to knock over the cups that they were just not meant for you, because this Emperor thing here was not the highest expression of yourself. And I think it's time that you stop mourning that loss and realize, and that is the 4 of Cups here and the Judgment card, realize the blessing in all this. So there's a question for gratefulness. There's a second time the Page of Pentacles. So you get everything you need. There's the Sun card. If you just focus on, there's a very different approach here. This is, I want it all. I want the big car. I want the great job title. I want to be the boss. I want to make it all by myself, right? And then in contrast to that, you got the 9 of Pentacles, which is much more in the moment. There's much more gratefulness. There's much more instant gratification, The ripes are grape, the grapes are ripe. You just have to pick them. It's not so big, right? It's much more simple and a simple life. You don't need to be grandiose about something. You don't need to save the world. You don't need to save other people. It's totally not possible. This is happiness, but low-hanging fruits happiness. So not 10 years down the road, not 5 years down the road, but create a life that makes you happy every day. not just after 5 years, not just when you get this and that, right? Not just when you win the war, not just when you know, that's kind of the emperor approach, and this is the toxic emperor approach, right? And this is totally connected to the Death card, the Five of Cups, the Five of Swords even, right? And so you wanted, maybe you got something going in that bossy sense, but you know, if you play that card, you're attracting other people who are playing the same card. And these people are usually waging war against each other. So that's not what you want. So you have to step down a little, take a step back, and realize that this 100% approach that you had was not good for you, because it was not making you happy, because other people were seeing you as someone to fight with. And that's not what you wanted, but that's what you provoked, so to speak. And I'm not saying that's okay. I'm not saying that you did something wrong, but there was some toxicity attached to it that belonged to you. And the big advice here is there are two parts here. The older part, which is a lot of past energy with the Five of Swords, the Five of Cups. You know, business as usual is not working, is not cutting anymore. So just go for happiness, go for balance, a balanced, well-rounded life. And you need to pay your bills, you need to pay your rent, that's for sure. But you need happiness, you need good connection to good people. You need happiness, joy on a daily basis. Not just when you make your first million or whatever that was, right? So that's pretty much all I got. There's the Moon card, Sun and Moon card with the Two of Pentacles. And then you just go after what you want. And what you want is leaving your wounded warrior mode, right? There's the Nine of Wands, clarifying kind of the Five of Swords and the Five of Cups here. So yes, you lost something, but it was better for you. And now you're moving on from that. Everything was very fast here. Everything was fast. Everything was, you lost the joy in life. Could that be? And you were doing everything on your own, right? The Hermit and the Emperor. That's not what you want. That's not what brings you happiness and joy. And the real message here is that the Ace of Cups is offered to you. Happiness, fortune after difficulty, right? But you have to end the conflict in yourself. You have to end anger and frustration and count your blessings and be grateful for it and make the best out of it. That's what I'm asking you. And if you do so, there's you know, low-hanging fruits, Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles is not the King of Pentacles, but you will have, there's enough, right? There's the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the clarifier deck. And then there's the Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Cups is a happy home, a happy family, or happy circle of friends, or happy circle of people. Golden light, right? That's the message. And I like this card. I just had that not too long ago, so I know what it's all about. Integrity. Love's golden light shines upon you and something is healed or comes to fruition. It has been a long and at times difficult journey, but you have stayed your course and remained true. Because of this, something you have long desired will now manifest. Or a situation or relationship in need of healing will be healed. You will one day look back and see how all that has transpired has been necessary because it made you stronger and wiser. The integrity and courage you show will continue to positively impact those around you. This will help them greatly when they too are faced with doubts and challenges. So you have been going to shit, that's for sure. And the shit that happened to you, there was, you know, 2 good cups went down. So I'm not sugarcoating this, right? So something worthy, something good was lost. But among that, what was lost was something very, very toxic. And that toxic thing was very much connected to this emperor hermit approach, fast, you know, you were running too fast to enjoy life. And you thought you had to do it all on your own. And that was just not good, right? So you have to slow down and smell the flowers and have a happy life. Grant yourself, give yourself permission to slow down and to smell the flowers and to count your blessing. And that's fox spirit. That's the old approach. That's fast, too fast, right? Time to collaborate, you know, people, connection, playfulness. Sandpiper spirit is here as well. I'm going to do 3 quotes. That's kind of a big reading, but it doesn't... The moment you feel like you have to prove your worth to someone is the moment you walk away. Did that play a role? The most common form of despair is not being who you are, Søren Kierkegaard. If you bypass your emotions, your body will express them in symptoms. That's a heavy reading, I must say. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. My friend. What did she do? So you did not act like a friend to yourself. You were running very, very fast to a goal, and in running too fast towards that goal, life was passing you by, basically. You were cheating yourself. And you should never, ever do that. And I'm not sugarcoating this 2 cups thing that were good, but that was the toxicity. Running too fast, trying to do everything on your own, maybe, and you know, fighting and attracting other fighters in that regard. So be yourself a friend, smell the flowers, slow down, enjoy the day, enjoy your life, be grateful for your blessings and accept them. And there's a new beginning in this. Keep a balance between sun and moon, waking consciousness and subconsciousness, meditation and breathwork every day. That's super important. If you have a lot of stress to relieve, 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out. There are apps for that. You can visualize that. That's super important. Make the out breath 2 times that of the in breath. And then just do that. Yeah, do it for 10 minutes, do it for 5 minutes if you've never done it, and combine that with meditation. The message here, the big blessing is self-love, to be yourself a friend and waking up to the blessings that you already got. There are low-hanging fruits. There is passionate creation, joyful, passionate creation. And if you make that a centerpiece of your life, you know, joyful, passionate creation, on a daily basis, and just gratefulness and slow and steady, right? You don't need to run, you don't need to strive. You don't go back into this emperor fighting game that you had going. up here, everything looks good. And you have to make this decision, and you in this new phase here, and you've got everything you need. What's left is enough. Use that, take your 2 cups, and be happy. Stop mourning the 3 cups. Do not rebuild the 3 cups, because you would rebuild that aspect of toxicity. That was a good riddance. That was freaking heavy reading, but there we are, right? So that's all I got. Share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it. Check out the yearly reading, check out the summer reading. I'm going to link this at the end of this video. If you want the full picture, the sun, moon, and rising sign gives you the broader picture, so to speak. You can also check out other signs if you have certain aspects in your chart, in your birth chart. So whatever, right? I hope to see you next time. Now, bye, my friend. Ciao.